Hey, this is Joe from Presonus. We're going to have fun today with my pedal board and Studio One's Pipeline plugin. Pipeline is one of the coolest plugins in Studio One. It allows me to take a vocal track, drag a plugin onto it, and then that vocal gets sent out to my pedal board and back into Studio One. It's ridiculously cool. Now, it's only available with Studio One Professional, so if you watch this video and you think, I gotta have that, then upgrade to Pro or become a Sphere member because that includes Studio One Professional, okay? Now, before we dive in and start making some cool sounds, let me explain how this all works. Okay, it's drawing time with Uncle Joe. I haven't drawn for you in a while, so here's how it works. Here's Studio One, right? We've got it over here on our computer. And for this, I'm going to use the Quantum 2626 audio interface. If you're not familiar with the Quantum, it is a Thunderbolt interface with ridiculously low latency, which means I can send things out and back without having much latency or delay at all. Even though Pipeline will make up for that, I'll show you that in a second. So we're using Quantum. We need to actually look at the back of it. Here's the back of the Quantum, okay? We'll talk about the front in a second. But first thing you should know, obviously, these two are connected. The Quantum and Studio One. They're friends. They're talking back and forth. Now, we're going to run an output to my pedal board. Now, as you look here, you'll see we got a bunch of outputs available. Main, left, and right here, that's the same as outputs 1 and 2, and this is what feeds like our speakers and like our headphones, right? So we don't want to use that. We want to use one of these other 6 inputs available or outputs available. So I'm going to use output 3. Now, how's this going to work? Well, let's bring in my pedal board, which is right, there it is, big old ugly, dusty, crooked pedal board. And I'm going to take a cable, a just regular old guitar cable, out of output 3 into the pedal board, and I'm going to come out of that pedal board into input 1 on the interface. I'm going to go right in the middle of that combo jack. As you can see, that is one of the instrument inputs. I'll use this gain to adjust it a little bit, and that is my signal flow. So it comes out of the Pipeline plugin in Studio One, comes down the Thunderbolt cable, comes out output 3 into the pedal board, so it goes through all this craziness. Then it comes out of the pedal board and comes into input 1 on the interface, and that's how we're able to hear what's happening. Now, one thing people might say is, don't you need some sort of a reamp box, like a reverse DI that takes a line level balance signal and turns it back into a guitar signal before you run it through a pedal board? Yes, if you're doing like proper reamping, where I'm taking a direct signal from the guitar and I'm reamping it, that's probably a good idea. I owned one for a while, didn't use it all that much, and sold it. I'm actually just running guitar cables from my interface into this and back in, and it sounds great. It sounds surprisingly good. I needed to turn the output down, right, so it's not driving this too hard, but otherwise it sounds fine, and I'm able to get cool sound, so I'm good with it. So if you want to do the reamp thing, feel free, but you don't have to. Okay, so here's the pedal board. I've got not that many pedals. This is a switcher that lets me turn on and off different loops without having to turn on and off the pedals, but that's beside the point. Let me show you how I get this to talk to Studio One over there. Okay, here is a vocal track in Studio One. And I never was much of a fighter. Plain old vocal. I don't have any processing on that. I'm going to go over here into my browser, and I'm going to find Pipeline mono. You can do this in both mono or stereo. My pedal board is mono, so I'm just going to use the mono version. I've created a template or a preset called pedal board that I'm going to drag onto this track. Check it out. I have now saved not only all the routing that I need, but also a picture of my pedal board, which I just think is ridiculous. I can make it bigger. I can even have notes here. So if you use this you dial in the coolest sound on some sort of outboard gear, you can take a picture of that, save it with the preset so you always know exactly what those settings were, and it saves right here in Studio One. You don't have to have any other external devices. Now, here's the way this works. We've got a send channel here and a return channel here. So we come into the I/O setup. It shows up like inputs and outputs on a channel, except we're tapping it off at the plugin level, which means I could have EQ plugin, pipeline, compressor plugin, and I could rearrange the order, and it literally changes the order that where the signal gets tapped out and sent out to the pedal board. So I can send it to the pedal board before the compressor or after, and I can rearrange that because this acts like its own enclosed plugin, even though it's doing some routing. So I'm sending it out line output 3, as we can see here, and I'm bringing it back in instrument input 1. It's that simple. Now, Studio One knows that there's going to be some latency when you send it out to a piece of equipment. So it measures that and does automatically offsets it. So I've got it set to auto. It's about a 3 sample round trip, which is ridiculously slow. Ridiculously fast, a low round trip latency. That's just what's cool about Studio One, and specifically our quantum interfaces are so fast. So here is the level of the vocal. Let me mute things for just a second. This is the level that we're sending. This is the level that's coming back from the pedal board. You can see I turned it down about 10 dB just because like my overdrives were getting hit way too hard. I couldn't dial in the sound I wanted. So a lower level out, and then I boosted a little bit back in, basically just to make it sound roughly the same volume going out. So here is the dry signal. Let me play it for you. Going through the pedal board and coming back with 0 pedals on. We're literally just listening to the signal round trip. I'm going to hit the bypass button, and you'll get to hear it before and after.
Much of a fighter, and I never was.
So it's got a little less top end, which is to be expected, but it's not this noisy, distorted, crazy thing that we kind of tend to think it would be, which is just crazy. One of the cool things about it, I'm not going to use it like this, but there is a mix knob on this. So I could have the dry vocal not running through the plugins and then just have all the effects on the plugin side and do parallel processing right here within the plugin. It's such a cool plugin. I can't believe we don't use this more. I need to use it more. It's so cool. All right, so let's just play around with it now because this is where the fun part happens.
And I never was much of a fighter, and I never was much of a fighter, and I never was much of a fighter, and I never was much of a fighter. Then maybe I'm doing this thing right.
Okay, that is ridiculously fun. When I was setting up for this video, I literally just got lost doing this. So what did you hear there? Let me show you. First thing you heard was the Memory Man. I played with the feedback control, and you can get some really cool sounds with that. Then I ran it through the distortion pedal, the blues driver. Then I ran it through this Stompbox modeler with a slapback delay on the back end. That had like the crazy octave effects and that weird warbly sound. And then also ran it through the reverb. And then at the end, I think I had a few different things on. It's just so cool and so powerful. Now, there are a lot of studios where running stuff through pedal boards is a big part of their signature sound. So if you're a guitar player, you already have pedals lying around. I've got a bunch in that closet that I don't use in my pedal board now, but I'm starting to think maybe they'd be fun to have here on the desk, and I could run things through them whenever I need them. That's a really fun workflow. Does it save time? No, because you've got to do it manually, right? And I've got to print this in real time. But there's something cool about that, and playing the feedback knob on the delay is really cool. Could I create similar sounds using plugins in Studio One, like our analog delay and red light distortion? Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times I will because that's just faster. But having this as an option is really cool. So next time you're thinking about buying some new plugins, if you already have an audio interface with multiple outputs, so if you have a 2-channel interface, it's going to be hard to do this. You can make it work, but ideally something with at least 3 or 4 outputs would be better. Then you can go, instead of buying an expensive plugin bundle, you can go buy a used guitar pedal, and now you've got a new plugin for your system. And you can, the used market there is crazy. So you can buy and sell all the time. And even like brand new guitar pedals, really nice guitar pedals that sound really great, a lot of them are $100 or less. So you suddenly open yourself up to all these cool tones, and you don't have to be a guitar player to mess around with them. One last thing, let's try running our entire drum mix through this just to see what happens. Now it's going to be mono, but I'm kind of excited to see what it does. I'm having way too much fun. I've been meaning to do this for a really long time, and now that I have, this may never leave my side. It's just really fun. And one of the things we do in the studio, especially if you've been doing this for a while, it's nice to just find new ways to get excited about music. I've got goosebumps. I know that sounds cheesy, but I've got goosebumps from this because it's just so fun and exciting, and it just feels like I've been refreshed creatively, and now I want to go just sit here and make music for the rest of the day. So anyway, that's enough for this video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. If you want Pipeline for your rig, upgrade to Studio One Professional or become a Sphere member, and you get that included with all the other stuff, which is really cool as well. Check it out at our website. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.